Folks, I've been doing this now. This is my fourth event. And the next person I'm going to introduce, I've never been so moved as by him. And when you hear his story, it's an incredible. And you find out how many people just reverently love this man. Something else. Ricky Griffin, 1979. This Bossier High School treasure almost slipped through the cracks on us. Finally, one of our members found and nominated this young man, and after some research, we found out that at 19 years old, he became the wrestling coach at Bossier High School. 19 years old. Maybe it's his motto that speaks out mostly. But all the people that played for him, wrestled for him, won those state championships for him. Destiny is not a matter of chance, but choice. I believe every one of those young men that were involved with him could quote that to you right today or tomorrow or next year verbatim, and that's the way he lived his life. He's followed that creed and he passed it on each year. Those teammates, they speak of him with reverence. Now let's go on. He also plays some football. He was an outstanding player. He was a safety, a wide receiver. He handled the kickoff and punt returns. At 167 pounds, he won the state wrestling championship. That's a pretty good sized man. In 4 years, he had set the bar so high at Bossier High School that it's never been reached since. Coached the only undefeated team in 1983, Division I state championships. One of his wrestlers told me in an interview, and this truly moved me. He said, Mr. Weathersby, my dad taught me to be a man. And he really did. He taught me to be a man, and I love him for that. He said, well, Coach Griffin, he taught me how to succeed. I don't think you could have ever got a better compliment than that. This is some man, folks, and we are so proud. I'm telling you, of all the people I've inducted, and this is probably the 40th or 50th person, never have I been prouder of somebody that worked for nothing, 19 years old, teaching these young kids how to wrestle, making us state champions. Just wonderful what his contribution to this city, his contribution to this school. How about people that wrestle for him? Could you raise your hand right now? Huh? Look at that, look at that. Some of them drove 500 miles. 500 miles to this point. There's plenty more to say, but we're going to stop right there. Right there. Ricky, welcome to the Hall of Fame. Come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Weatherby. I appreciate that. And y'all bear with me if I can try to hold this together here. What an honor and what excitement I have right now. My heart is truly filled to the max. I've got people here that I coached, as some of you saw. I've got people here that I actually wrestled against, and I got bruises from that. I've got friends, great school friends. I've got in-laws here that threatens not to ride back with me because my head will get too big. And I just want you to know my eyes are perfectly fine. My hands have gotten short. Like everyone else, nothing like this ever occurs because of what you as an individual did, but because of how you were raised and how you were guided. And like the gentleman before me, and certainly probably the gentleman after me, I've been blessed to have some outstanding leadership in my path. I do want to thank the committee. It is the ultimate honor to me. I bleed green and white, still. I coached wrestling up until last March. I actually resigned after 7 years in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I blew my right knee out, and I figured at 54 it's probably time to quit. And every time I would go to practice, and I thought about you, Coach Coleman, because I'd have to put this cotton picking blue and white on, and it just never sat well on me, and it didn't fit right, you know. And I'd always tell these wrestlers, you know, it's just nothing like green and white. And anyway, I want to thank the committee for allowing me. And I often get asked about that undefeated season in 1983, and I'm going to address that because those gentlemen deserve the recognition for what they accomplished. But I often get asked how we did it, and my reply is fairly simple. I tell them the truth. It's what we do today in sports and business and in friendships and anything that I'm involved in. We teach our people a very unique concept in sports, and that is we teach them how to lie, cheat, and steal. I'll get back to that in just a minute after I get through with my thank yous. First and foremost, I do want to thank Coach Coleman. Coach Coleman for believing in me. I was not, by any means, a lightning force on the football field. I had the ability to catch a football, and God blessed me with those hands. But He also blessed me with slow feet. I couldn't run out of sight in 30 days. It's embarrassing when they time me in the 40 with a calendar. I went to college to play football at Northeast, and that lasted about 1.5 years till I broke both my ankles. But I remember showing up, and the coaches said, "Is that Ricky?" And they all said yes, and said, "Give him a 10-yard start and let him take his shoes off." So that was kind of my handicap and my blessing in the sport of football. But Coach Coleman didn't look at that. Coach Coleman looked at the heart. And nobody wanted to play as bad as I did. I didn't know whether I'd be good enough, but I just wanted the chance. That's all I wanted. And Coach Coleman believed enough in that to give me that. And I'm thankful. As well as some of the other coaches. Coach Earp was here today. It was a blessing to see him as well. And my earlier coaches in junior high, Chester Roden and Benny McKellar. All of them instilled that some little something that gave me just that little edge to want to be just that little much better. Coach Richie Jackson, who taught me discipline in the weight room and how that translates to the football field. I was so blessed to have Coach Jackson in my life. And then, of course, there's my wrestling coaches. The sport of wrestling didn't start in Bossier High School until 1978, my junior year. I'll never forget, I was walking down the hall and a group of gentlemen said, "Rick, you look like 155 pounds. I was weighing 174. I said, "Thank you." They said, "No, you look like you could wrestle 155. We want you to lose weight and wrestle in that position because we need a man in your size." I said, "Okay, I've never wrestled a day in my life, but I'll be glad to try." I was fortunate enough to have a coach by the name of Donnie Burton, who from a skill standpoint was a master. His brother Jimmy Burton, who also coached me a great deal. What a tremendous blessing to have those gentlemen in my life. They gave me the skill set necessary to be successful in that sport. And then my senior year, I was fortunate enough to get beat up by Mitch Downey on a regular basis. I didn't have any partner. I didn't have anybody to work out with, and so Mitch had to be my partner. What an education. That's about how it worked. But you know what I learned? The humility of getting my tail end whooped on a daily basis. What it made me when I walked out on that mat. And I was very fortunate in my second year of wrestling to be a state champion for Bossier High School. And I'll never forget that whole event because I thought, man, I am absolutely going to get this trophy that I just cannot carry home because I'll be a state champion. They gave me a certificate. And, I was somewhat, frustrated at the moment, but after some self-inspection and say, well, Ricky, that was really greedy. I began to realize what the honor of state champion means. And you can't take that away. Even today, that still hangs over me. What a blessing. I want to thank some very special people in my life, Eddie Conrad, for helping get the ball rolling and giving me the opportunity to stand before you now. If he had not done that, I would not be here. And Gary Washington, who is literally a human bulletin board for all things BHS wrestling. Okay? I'm about to name him the historian. I think he knows the whole story. A very, very, very special thank you to Clark Matkins. Many of you may not know who Clark Matkins is. He's never wrestled, and to my knowledge, didn't play football. But when our program started in 1978, we had to have a faculty sponsor in order to get it off the ground. Here was this math teacher who volunteered to do it, and I don't really think he knew what he was getting himself into. And boy, was he absolutely the perfect person for that position. We would not have been able to do the things that we were able to do without him volunteering his time so graciously. And then also, I'd like to thank Dominic Salinas for continuing that legacy. And when I took over the program in 81, he had enough faith in me and my instincts to let us guide that program and turn it into what we ultimately turned it into. Miss Judy Anderson, who's here. I could not, amen, God bless her. I could not have, there's no way in the world that BHS wrestling would have reached the heights that it reached during that period if it was not for Miss Judy Anderson. Miss A is a very special person, and I always want her to know that. I also want to thank my teammates for Bossier High School football. What a bond we had. I've never played with gentlemen with so much heart and so much desire. Some of them in the audience tonight, some of them you know today, some of them Coach Gallin sitting over here, Joe Young in the back, there's several more. I had so much fun playing with these people. And I know they know this, but I knew they had my back. And I knew they had faith in me. And I hope they know that I always had faith in them. Even to this day today. Those are special, special bonds that will never be broken. And to my wrestlers, from the 89-pound freshman state qualifier, my first year coaching, my own brother. Hardest thing I ever did in my life was coach my brother. I feel so sorry for him to this day. I am not joking. I had opposing coaches come up to me after a tournament or a match and they'd say, you need to get off of him. I was hard. I'll be the first to tell you I was hard. But what a special human being he is. What a leader he is. What a leader he was then. We had 3 state qualifiers that first year. He was one of them as a freshman. Gave away 11 pounds every time he walked on the mat. Didn't matter. He kicked everybody's tail. I was so proud of him and still are today. All the way up to the heavyweights. The Ron Deans, to think of a man that comes to my mind right off the bat. God bless him. I love him dearly. What special people those people were. The sacrifice they made is none like any other sport that you'll participate in. Wrestling is a very unique thing. I want to take a chance to recognize a very, very special group of young men. In 1983, we managed to go 11 or 12 and 0. I can't remember which it is now. My mind is slipping a little bit. But 11 or 12 and 0, something that's never been done since. What an unbelievable group of people. And by the way, that next year, we went up to 12 and 0 and lost the very last match. We were 12 and 1. So we almost had 2 undefeated seasons, which were my 4th and 5th year of coaching, the last year that I coached here. If you're a part of that 83 team, can you just stand up, please? Let me get a head count of who we have here. Thank you very, very much. One of them's in the room, and we'll just call him his nickname, Baby Huey. They'll never forget. I won't say who he is, but everybody knows. So I also want to give a special thanks to Randy Conklin. Randy, would you stand up, please? This is my 112 state pound champion. Randy was an ordinary 136 pounder and dropped down to 112. I cannot tell you how many times I had to chase him out of Johnny's Pizza. Literally. And, but you know, I mean, these were not your 6'5", 240-pound athletes. These were your band members, your people that walk the halls. And I just thought, and I learned this from Coach Coleman, I just thought that my job was to take what I had and make it better. To help them reach their dreams and goals that they didn't think they were capable of doing. I just thought that's what coaching was all about. And I took that and ran with it. And because of it, we were able to do some very special things as a team. I want to take the opportunity to thank some very special people in my life. I mentioned my brother, Shannon Griffin. What a unique individual. My sister, Beth Western. My biggest cheerleaders were my siblings. My sister, Kelly Goldsmith. You know, when we were out competing on the mat or coaching, they were always the first to greet me. They were always the first to hug me. They made me feel like $10 million, when the truth is, at the moment, I might not have been worth 10. They are very special people, and I hope you get the chance to meet them. My wife, God bless her, Margaret Griffin. She allowed me to go out and continue to coach when we moved to Albuquerque. I'm an investment advisor by trade, and I always promised myself when I left Bossier High School coaching I would get back into it because I love working with the teenagers and the mentor and the young men. And the opportunity arose when I had a chance to coach my youngest son, Thomas Griffin. And so I took that opportunity and I coached for 7 more years, and my wife allowed me to do that. And Jimmy Ruth, as you well know, there's a special place in heaven for coaches' wives. What a special group of people. And last but not least, I want to thank my parents, my mother. Many of you might know my mother. When I took over the wrestling program, we needed funding and money. So I did the wisest thing I knew how to do. I made my mother president of the Booster Club. Politics is all local, right? And my mother did an outstanding job of raising money and helping us get the things that we needed or what we thought we needed to be successful in this program. And last but not least, I want to thank you. Thank my father. My father passed away Thursday. What a special man. My dad was not an athlete. He is a graduate of Bossier High School. He's not an athlete, but he never missed an event. Sometimes it took driving all night long to be wherever we happened to have been, whether it be Sulphur or state championships at Baton Rouge. But he would be there. Normally he'd be filming it. Didn't always understand everything going on, but man was he so proud. We were sitting down just last week and we were talking about the sport of wrestling. He'd say, son, I just could hardly stand it. They would take your elbow over here and put it in your ear over here, and I just thought you were going to die. God bless you, Dad. I love you. Oh, I forgot to tell you my coaching philosophy. We taught everybody we know how to lie, cheat, and steal. We asked every wrestler to go home at night and go to bed. Before you go to bed, I want you to lie there. And I want you to think about your dreams and goals, your aspirations, where you really want to be and why you really want to do this. And then I want you to come to practice tomorrow. And I want you to cheat yourself out of some personal time. I want to cheat yourself out of some of the luxuries that other kids might be enjoying because you're sacrificing. And I want you to steal the very best ideas you can. And if you can master a lie